that's the way it is around here. When show 62's got to roll, we're rolling.
Nice.
And guess what? I usually not gonna say.
Chat.
Yep. No.
Chat.
Not even running. Not even running. And we forgot to discuss the order on the last two. Great.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And the music, as always. The amazing sounds of one Harris Heller.
Harris Heller.
Hanging song. Matter of fact, I put this song back into rotation on one of my playlists. I like it.
Nice, nice.
Man,
yeah, some cool.
That fast charge hub really works. I already charged that battery.
Wow.
Damn.
That is. It is impressive.
It's Thursday.
It is.
It is. We're at the high point of the music.
Almost Friday.
All right. 20 seconds. Go with 20. Let's see what happens with 20.
20.
Let's see if I got this right for my timing. 10 seconds. So I can. Oh, yeah. And welcome everybody, Not Your Average Show. How are you today? It is July 15, 2021. With me from the remote location is Corey. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. What's going on YouTube? Hey, Mike. What's going on, man?
Not much.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, actually. Doing really well.
Excellent.
All things considered, what yesterday could have been, today's a good day. Today is a good day. So
yeah, good.
There's that.
Perfect.
But yeah, we got so much to talk to you guys about today. So first off, let's just lay out what we got. We got the Kia EV6, which I don't know how we didn't pay more attention to this sooner, but damn, I'm actually flat out impressed by this. Also, there was something. Hey, what's going on, James? There's also another thing
James.
that we had this that we were supposed to cover it last week, and it kept, for some reason, we didn't, and it's foolish because Corey found this awesome thing about a super drone that basically evaded the police, two police helicopters that were chasing after it for almost an hour. We're going to go into some detail about that, about some drone operations.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That actually, that is really crazy. That is something to be looked at. Also, Lockheed Martin's going to be bringing their new Orion spacecraft building facilities right here to Space Coast, Florida. So that's exciting for us in the local area. And in research of the drone articles, Corey also pulled up something from this company called Cobra Aero, not Cobra Kai, but Cobra Aero. And they they do have some technologies that, well, probably worthy of taking a look at to see what capabilities are there for the future drone markets and the power plants that are people using that are both traditional and non-traditional. That's kind of interesting. Just want to lay that out there. So, hey, man, how are you? What's going on with you? I'm
good. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I don't know. Good. Doing fine. Yeah.
Doing
How about you? Good? Good?
Yeah. I mean, wait, one other thing that we might do. Maybe we'll play it maybe towards the end. So I told you guys that there's been an old video on the channel of the racing sim as it existed probably 4 years ago. And it has undergone many massive changes, including 31-inch monitors, curved, new video card, new steering wheels, new monitor stand, a lot of different configurations and things that have been added to it. And there's a quick video that I might share that I just did some quick edits on the new F1 steering wheel that I showed you guys a couple weeks ago that I've been running, and me taking a hot lap around Laguna and Indianapolis. And then Corey and I probably have to step into that thing for a day and literally just maybe stream an entire show from there. So just for giggles. So, hey.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That would be cool. All right. Yeah, so that's about it. I almost forgot about that. Any more chitter chatter that we need from us today?
I don't know. Before we get going, I guess not.
Heavy sigh. Wow.
Well, just finishing up that cookie.
The sugar. The sugar has done him in, folks. Okay.
Well, I had an antipasta salad for lunch, so it was good.
Oh, that'll also do it.
Cookie.
Also, another thing that you guys might notice in the presentation today, we've switched over from our basic web browsing material that we usually use Safari to bring you guys this, and they do have a reader view, which cuts out a lot of the advertisements and distractions inside of the web pages themselves. And originally I was sitting on the fence about what it meant for the presentation because the articles look like they're actually made by us now, which they're not. So, and they don't have the reference material, but the links are always in below. So you guys can reference that, but it's just a different browser view to clean up the view for you guys at home. So that's one of the things to be brought out to your attention. Okay. So Attention! Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit off first, maybe with the Kia.
Yeah, do it.
And then
That's
we
fine.
can get into the drone conversation and then Lockheed and so on and so forth. Okay, here we go. I'm taking the helm here. So right off the bat, this is from Auto Week. The 2022 Kia EV6 will offer 577 horsepower in the GT spec. Now, that alone should just get you excited, right? And me, as an individual, I get excited when I hear that. But there's something a little bit more to this story, and that is what this thing actually looks like. And these are the pictures directly from Auto Week. And it's actually brilliantly looking, gorgeous car. But there's more to it than just that. And what's also included with this is the specifications. 577 horsepower, 546 pounds of torque. It's got a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery. Okay, the 0 to 60 on this thing is looking at 3.5 seconds, which will make it in the better echelons of some of the faster cars that we know of today. Okay, for most family go-getters, that is going to be a major upgrade for what you probably already have in the garage.
That's quick.
Yeah, really quick. Top speed of 162 miles an hour. All right. Now, Corey's going to talk about the range because there's a range standard applied here for both the small battery and the large battery. But they're saying with the larger battery, 317 miles of range, it's going to have an 800 volt battery. Okay. 800 volts. And they're saying that they're going to get out of this thing, which has got a gorgeous interior as well, they're going to get it to charge between 10 and 80% in 18 minutes. Okay, so you are a Tesla Model 3 owner right now. If you are a future Tesla Model 3 owner and you've got some money in your pocket, what's your theory and your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, looking at what Mike was saying about some of the stuff about it, the range, they're saying supposedly the bigger range, which is the rear drive model, supposedly something around 317 miles. Now, I wanted, as Mike kind of mentioned or hinted at, this is measured with the European measurement cycle, not the EPA. So typically, when we've looked at this kind of thing, typically the EPA figures go a bit south of that. They're typically not the same estimates, and so we would expect something, I don't know, maybe 300 miles or something. But the shorter range battery, again, while I don't have exact figures there, I would guess, looking at some of the numbers, something above 220, somewhere above 220 miles for the small range battery. And we know kind of the feeling in the marketplace is for basic EVs now, four-door EVs, to have something in 250 miles or more.
The Musk standard.
So the small range battery,
the Musk standard, right? Because that's what he considers.
Well, yeah, but I mean myself too as well. Having driven my car, if you guys are unaware, I have a Tesla Model 3 long range version, and so while I do not charge that thing full every day, because you shouldn't do that for the longevity of the battery. When I find myself out driving around. And again, Orlando, Florida, it's pretty spread out. So if you need to go a few places in a day, depending on traffic and what speed you're going at on highways, I'm thinking I usually want my car charged like 220, somewhere around there, miles of range total, depending where I'm going to end up. There's plenty of chargers around, which is something else to be said about where you're going to charge this thing, since there's Tesla Superchargers around many longer areas, longer streets, highways, that which is by design for Tesla. But again, that was something else to say about this car. Again, really like the way it looks. The longer range battery, 317, even if it's around 300, that'd be fine too. It's rear drive, quite snappy, 3.5 seconds, as we said, quite quick.
Oh yeah.
So it's a four-door EV, and that's quick. That's plenty quick. But again, the same old question comes to mind. We're going to charge this thing, which needs to be seen. I will say there's some hint that in the future Tesla Superchargers might be opened up to other manufacturers. That's kind of still in the works to see what happens there. But nevertheless, this car looks pretty interesting.
So what would
I
you
would
pay?
say
So
if you're into like what's that?
What would you pay though? What would you think? Because I realized there was no price mentioned in that article, right? And I'm just doing some research on what they think the estimated
Yep.
price would be. What do you think the estimated price of that vehicle should be with the specifications that we just mentioned?
You've got some estimates on your
I
end?
do, but I'm not going to tell you. I want you to
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Looking at the price or the some of the tech.
No cheating. Don't you go into
I'm
that
not
browser.
cheating. I'm staying in the same article. 45?
Okay, so they're saying 45 is a base, 55 when it tops out.
Oh, really?
Right.
Dang,
So 45 is a base. They're
nice,
saying the
nice.
GT
Good
line
guess.
should be 49,000 is what they're saying. So the standard rear wheel drive should be 45, long range should be 47, estimated. GT line should be 49 and the GT 55. Okay, so but here's the thing. Right? So you mentioned something else about where this pays off in their technology base, right? But I want to speak to something about the vehicle just really quickly. Does that come with the tax credit? Because if you're talking about the tax credit that you would get on top of that, you're talking about a performance-based electric vehicle with all of these features for roughly, what are we talking about? $48,000, which would put it in killer territory, right?
Unless I'm mistaken, Kia hasn't passed that threshold for
Not
the
that I know
tech
of,
credit.
right?
So yeah, you would unless we're mistaken, Chad, you might be able to correct us, but unless you're mistaken, you're going to be depending when this thing actually hits the market and all those things, but you might still be applicable for that tax credit, which puts you low 40s.
Low 40s, right? So here's
for this
one other thing, and then we'll talk about what you mentioned before the show, and that is I don't know why, but it's got paddle shifters. It looks like it's got paddle shifters, but
oh, does it?
It does right here in this picture. It looks like behind the wheel there's a paddle shifter, and I'm like, okay, whatever floats your boat. If that's if that works, unless it does have a transmission in it, which would be a little weird.
No, I don't think that would be the case. I haven't heard anything about variable, shifting EV transmissions in Kias.
To the best of my knowledge, Porsche is the only one that has that in the Taycan Turbo. But
yeah.
Just man, the interior. So go on now. You had mentioned something else before we came on the air about the implications that this has with some of the partnerships that Hyundai has.
Yes.
Specifically,
yes. Yeah. Just refreshing my memory here what I talked about. Yeah. It just came to me randomly as Mike and I were talking about this before the show that it's something to say that Kia, and then if you go down here, it says in the article it mentions that the EV6 shares the EGM platform and battery options with the Hyundai Iconic 5. And that immediately made me think, okay, let's not forget that Hyundai is also into EVs, electric EVs, aerial eVTOLs, right? That we talk about frequently on the channel. So aerial vehicles that are going to use electric components and, bigger, air taxis, as we've been talking about a bit too. So I'm thinking to myself, so the technology gains they've made for the whatever, all the electric components and everything, all the research they've done for this car, or I mean, let's be honest, maybe the other way around. What we'll see, this is technology being shared between the two. So any developments that you may see that Hyundai may have for that platform, for that they made with this Kia car here, might be something that would go towards again, I'm looking at like fast charging capabilities and all that for the air taxi stuff.
Yeah.
That's total speculation on my part. Who knows. But it's just let's just not forget that while a lot of these EVs are coming out for cars, let's not forget some of those players are also investing in air taxis as well.
Which means supply chain. The supply chain for them is going to be a little bit more streamlined when they get into their battery tech, into their wiring harnesses, all those things that are tied in that are going to be part of those electric components. First thing I think is supply chain. Their supply chain is going to be a lot stronger in some of those regions. So
James has a question here too. I did want to get before we leave too much. James is asking, can any brand of car use a Tesla charging station? Currently, as it stands, James, no. Currently, the way Tesla supercharging stations function, they have a proprietary plug, and you could envision a way to get an adapter for such a thing. But when you're there, your car actually interfaces with the charger. And so, for example, if I went to a supercharger in my area, I wouldn't actually pay anything there. I literally just plug my car in and it charges, and then I drive away because it's all my car talks to the grid, and then talks to the Tesla mainframe, and then it just charges me with the card on file there. So No, there's really, I mean, there's literally like no buttons or anything at this charging station. Like you
Just
you
go.
just take the plug off. There's one but there's technically one button on the handle that unlocks it when you're done charging, because once you put it in your car, as it's charging and there's electricity flowing, it locks the handle, of course, right?
Right.
And then when you want to remove it, you have to press a button and then it stops and then you can take it out again. So yeah, there's literally like no interface
I
at the
think
pump, if you know what I mean. So
I think that's also
currently,
by design,
no.
though, because right, and
Yes.
then here's the other thing. I know that his
Yes.
brother is heavy into the food industry, and I started reading articles recently that said that the Tesla charging station design is based on the fact that eventually they're going to get into food marketing, and that they're going to have it so that when you stop on long country cruises for your 18 minutes or whatever it is, you're going to dine and dash basically on
Yes.
Tesla's money,
Yep.
right? So that's something
Yep.
that they're
So
incorporating.
that's always been. There's a lot of those about more west. If you look up some of the Tesla Superchargers, the big ones in
Yeah.
California, and that area of the country over there, yeah, they're literally like giant charging stations around like a place to eat and kind of relax with like Wi-Fi, except it's just for charging,
Your
just for
car, just
Teslas.
your
Like it's
Teslas,
just
right?
like it's like a rest area for like Teslas.
So
So that's some cool stuff out there. But as it stands currently, no other cars can use them. I know I mentioned a little bit earlier, right, that may be changing, and Elon mentioned that
himself.
a while back
Yeah,
as
he
well. I
did.
don't have that link with me right now, but it's possible.
So
Yeah.
in chat, also Brad Young mentioned that EVs may be eligible for up to a $7,500 tax credit. Details are being finalized. This is great from a Google search. Now, the last thing I guess on this car that we really have to address is the looks. For the price, for the money, for the design, and going along with Kia's new logo, right? This thing looks hot. It's not an ugly car by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
yeah,
the
they've
more I
done
look at
a
it, the
good
more I
job
like
in
it.
design. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think red might not be its best color, and neither white, but the version that I see here in this picture, which almost looks identical to the production version, right? That's a fine, gorgeous looking car. And if that's what the EV6 GT looks like out of the factory, they're gonna have the sales. I mean, that thing's gonna sell. That's gorgeous.
Mhm.
That's a pretty car. So, anyhow,
And I just wanted to touch on that thing because I just mentioned it. It is kind of big news of other cars can use those chargers. There was an article from Forbes about 20 days ago, which might have been the one I saw and I was talking about earlier, that basically says that Tesla's indicated next year they're going to allow other cars to use their network, their charging network in Norway.
mm-hmm.
And that may have some deal with something like specific to Norway. Uh, so that doesn't mean it's necessarily coming over here, but it also could be a test bed to see how that's going to function if it were to go somewhere else. So that's if you guys are interested in that link, I'll link that down. I'll add it to the stuff below so you guys can check it out if you prefer. But yeah, so nothing solid on that, but it's possible that might see something happens.
Sweet. And if you guys like what we've represented for the Kia EV6 today, let us know in the comments below what your thoughts are and whether or not you think this will be successful, and if Hyundai and Kia are on the right track with their Ioniq, and especially this GT's version of the car. Gorgeous. Like it so much. And so with that said, like, subscribe, and follow. And we appreciate all the energy you guys have been putting into the comments and such lately. And then next we go to, well, you're going to take the floor and talk to us about, I guess nothing more than what could be described as a super drone.
Yeah, give me just 2 seconds. I'm sorting out that link for the chat.
Okay.
And
Dun,
it
dun,
should
dun.
be good now. What's that?
No, I said dun 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 super chat.
Yeah, 5 seconds and should be updating now. So yeah, if you guys wanted to, stick around for the stream, don't leave us. But just know if you did refresh it or whatever, there'll be an extra link down below, which is the one I just said from Forbes about the Tesla Superchargers
Sweet.
possibly opening up. So there you go. Yeah, but so moving on to the next one. Let me get my links up.
There you go. It's all yours.
The next one is from the Daily Mail. It's a UK website, but it talks about something happened in Tucson, Arizona. You guys may have heard about this possibly in the news, but I know Mike and I, we mentioned, we've been talking about it for a few days, and we keep forgetting to put it in where the segments we wanted to get it in there, but it's something we talk about today. And so basically it's to say, over in Tucson, Arizona, earlier, and actually a few months ago, they had a drone that was detected by CBP, the Border Protection helicopter, an AS-350, and it was flying dangerously close to the aircraft. It didn't hit anything, but they wanted to obviously investigate it. And they ended up calling in the Tucson PD. Long story short, this drone, whatever it was flying over 10,000 miles or 10,000 feet above sea level, up to 14,000. Sometimes going up to 100 miles an hour,
That's impressive.
averaging 70 miles an hour. It flew like this for about an hour. And was obviously, as it said, say in here, it orbited the helicopters a few times, basically trying to get behind them and stay behind them. So kind of playing around with them for a while, and then eventually it ended up flying in the airspace, the military airspace over Davis Monthan Air Base over there, and was last seen 12,000 feet, going 74 miles an hour into the clouds, and then they lost it. So the things to pull out of here real quick. So Mike and I do have some drones. If we'll call them hobby drones, but they're not low end drones, but they're not like custom drones we might be talking about here with this thing. And to fly a drone for at least an hour, minimum an hour, at over 70 miles an hour and any 12,000 feet.
Yeah.
And literally just kind of playing with CBP, Customs and Border Protection, and then Tucson Police is not on the normal capabilities of a drone you can go by. So it's something we definitely want to talk about. I mean, in this article, you can go down. So there's a lot to talk about in here. A lot of details. It was an AS350, a Jet Ranger. If you know a Bell 26 Jet Ranger. There's a little diagram down here. You can see an over-the-top view of the flight path it took.
Yeah, and that's impressive. That's really impressive.
The distance it's covered in that time frame is, again, as Mike said, that's impressive. We're talking a drone.
That takes some work.
That I have to. I mean,
you took a big breath.
I have to think how there's everything from power plant to endurance to control. Like literally, where is it's unmanned, right? This is a drone. So where is the controller? Because that line of sight from anything and like with that amount of distance traveled, with the fidelity, to make out, where their helicopter is, literally play around, go to circle around them. Are we talking like SAT communication with this drone? I mean, what are we? This
I don't know.
Is not your normal drone.
Let's look at this. This is from the PDs. This is their 304. This is not the Bell Jet Ranger, I believe. This was the PD helicopter. So wait, which one in the article was which was? Because anyhow, you can see
this
here,
is the police helicopter.
This is the police helicopter.
That one there.
All right. So basically, what they end up doing here is they're off on a tangent, and they orbit, which means I'm assuming at this point when they're orbiting this object that it was stationary at some level before it took back off again. And then as it orbited them, they were trying to reposition behind it, right? So that's what it sounds like from the article. Although I would have loved to have seen the onboard footage to see if this thing was more of a quad type design or a winged design with a pusher engine. If it was really vertical or hoverable capable, that would be one other thing to be really interested in. I imagine it was draped in some sort of sophisticated enough systems that it knew where this helicopter was or could keep eyes on it so that it would reposition itself as needed, indicating that it probably had some level of almost, look down capability, look down almost, maybe not weapons grade, but some sort of ability to look forward or see forward as a targeting system. But, hey, we do know that the military possesses drones, but speed, 170 to 100 knots is not easy, sustainable for an hour, and at those altitudes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona is pretty high. Right.
It's also estimated between 4 and 6 feet diameter, possibly 4 or 6 configure rotors. So we're not. So from the article, it does not appear it's like a airplane drone. It appears that it's like a quad, like a big quad, a big obviously custom quad of some kind.
Right. So Tucson, Arizona, even as a base altitude is 2,300 feet, the general area. All right. So already you're talking about this thing is in an environment that if it got to 14,000 feet, I've had people before tell me, oh, there's no way a DJI drones make it up to 14,000 feet. And I'm like, you want to bet? Because that thing can make it every bit of 14,000 feet because it can go vertical in a climb almost 3,000 feet per second if it's tuned the right way. Right. 3,000 feet per second, do the math. It's got enough battery power for 24 minutes. That thing could easily get in front of an airliner. And at 6,000 feet, I'm pretty sure we blasted past one over O'Hare at one point or another on the downwind, which we had to report to ATC because birds aren't shiny. Let's just, that's just one of those things.
Well, just as the last thing, just touching on exactly what you said, the same article here says in 2008, a Learjet reported a drone flying at 40,000 feet over southern Arizona.
That's impressive.
we'd have to investigate that because that's an impressive number.
Hmm.
Um, but again, this is not impossible. That might not be talking quads at 40,000. You're talking jet streams and whatnot up there, but nevertheless,
Nevertheless, I
there's
mean,
the FBI is involved, and yeah, so
routinely drones are deployed to cover aerial photography at places like Pikes Peak and other high area altitude areas. So it's capable.
mhm,
Man, the duration though, the real thing that's got me here is the duration. If this thing
mhm,
wasn't fuel based and it was electric based and it was of a certain size that had to carry the batteries to do this, or if it was an engine design or
mhm.
motor design that was hyper efficient yet still could achieve these speeds, wow. Somebody,
Yeah.
somebody, I don't know who, but somebody's got
Mhm.
themselves a really nice drone. And had they been able to follow it home, all the way home, we would have found out who the operator was. But the fact that it
Mhm.
outlasted these two helicopters is also another wow.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, is that the incident, as we said, ends with it somewhere around 12,000 feet. It goes in the clouds, and then the helicopters break off because they need to go refuel. So yeah, it literally. They didn't have. I don't know if they took off. They might have been airborne already. Long story short, exactly the thing that Mike said. That one of the most impressive parts about this whole story is the endurance of such a thing.
Hmm.
And again, are we talking DoD? Are we talking some rich guy in the area that's just put a bunch of crazy stuff on board? Yeah. So,
Well, he'd be in a,
um,
well, now the other thing is, as it got into military airspace, I wonder, I would assume that they've got sophisticated enough technology to detect, number one. Number two, that person, I mean, if you want to talk about all the rules that were broken that this thing actually did, which was come fly beyond line of
yeah,
sight for
yeah,
the
yeah,
basic
yeah.
operator, fly in the operation or near operations of other aircraft, bust
Hmm.
airspace. We're talking about whoever, if this wasn't someone from the military, they would be in jail because the FAA stipulates that would have to be operated safely. And there's, from everything that I
Hmm.
can tell right
A
now, yeah,
bunch of rules for that. Yeah.
bunch of rules that they broke. So, especially
Mhm.
probably weight, registration,
Oh
to name
yeah,
a few.
yeah. Something that's 6 feet across that again has the endurance, whether
Hmm.
it's fuel or batteries. Batteries for an
Yeah.
hour at this speed would be. I'm almost leaning that it must have been fuel based, which
Okay.
ironically leads me to the other article I found.
All
I
right.
don't know if
So
you want me to go over to that,
let's
but
let's well, you know what? Let's close this one out. So hey, folks, on this particular subject alone, let us know what you think. A super drone
mhm.
flying out there. Who do you think owned it? And on top of who do you think owned it? Who do you think was flying it? On top of that,
Yeah,
what do you think it probably looked like? And if you have any other inside information, let us know, because in Corey's digging, he actually did find a probable, if not likely, candidate for the company that could have been behind some of the propulsion.
possibly, yeah. So, and before we go, yeah, I'll go. So Brad just says maybe we should look at the hangars in Area 51.
Ah, you know,
I don't know. I don't know. It's over in the west, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. So it could very well be government. I mean, who knows there? But yeah. So again, as I was looking at this article, trying to get some more research on it, I stumbled across a company called Cobra Aero,
hmm.
and this company started off, it looks like kind of back in the 90s, making bikes, motorbike engines, off-road dirt bike and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But basically, if you're at their website, you can see that they have a few different companies that they do, Cobra Aero and Cobra Motor, namely, and they really making propulsion systems for racing, firefighting, aerospace, surface, and underwater vehicles. So they've certainly branched out since they did the motorbikes. But on this website,
There's a nice
specifically, we're
video.
talking about Cobra Aero. Yeah. I was just looking around this website. They have multiple power plants for we're going to call them hobby drones, or
Hmm.
in this case, possible quadcopters and whatnot. Because they talk about, specifically, if you go to some of the product pages, they talk about the power generation that these things can provide to, like multi-rotor unmanned aerial vehicles,
Hmm.
kind of stuff like that. So they really are talking about using like them as a generator
Right.
to power electrical propulsion systems, which is quite fascinating in and of itself. But one thing that I thought was even kind of cooler about that was, like as Mike said, there's a homepage. Right on the homepage, if you go down a bit, there's a video. It says Cobra Air in motion. So I was just kind of playing that,
Let's play it.
and
I
I
mean, we can
noticed
play
that
it. You want to
the
play it? We can play it.
You could play a part of it, but what was it? What did I say at the
38-second mark.
38-second
There's
mark?
a little
Uh,
doodad in there about it.
yeah. So and as Mike's playing it, we can get there. I'm a bit behind, but um, I'll just kind of let you play it if you'd like. But it's just it's like 2 minutes long and change. But there was an interesting thing I saw at second 38 in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Off-road market in the U.S. went down by 80%. So we needed to look for new marketplaces for our capabilities and our people and our technology that we were employing in one market that we felt would be really useful in the aerospace market as well.
There it is.
We engaged with Sean. When you're in the business of providing solutions, you don't tell someone.
I'm a little behind, but there you go.
To them.
Yeah, Cobra sought help from basically a local university to make new hybrid engines for U.S. Navy surveillance drones.
Pretty much.
So interesting. I thought that was just wow, just kind of crazy that I would have find one article and just literally stumbled across this this company on LinkedIn. It had nothing to do with the drone article we had already seen and talked about, and I literally saw, okay, they're making possible power plants for government drones.
Yep.
Okay. Not super surprising, but that I would find a company that is doing that, because we certainly know that companies are doing that. But I thought it was funny that we're talking about this drone video, and then literally I find this company. So interesting. I'm gonna do some more research on this company. It's pretty interesting. I don't have any big airplanes or whatnot, RC airplanes. I had some stuff in the past. Always was a good hobby, but it's a little bit expensive, of course. But the prospect of having a quad or a larger quad that could be powered basically with the generator on board is kind of cool.
Well, I mean, look, it opens up the marketplace towards, distance and range is what we consider to be the two hardest things to conquer in this marketplace, right? If you look at the naturally aspirated resources that are available to you in this particular region, I'm sure power plants are far and few, and at least the manufacturers are far and few between, because it's a highly specialized thing to be in that type of, I'd say, hobbyist drone engine manufacturer, right? So even like we took a look at this week, that new air turbine company that really wants to make the electric air turbine, they're obviously going to be in some sort of competitive region with something that you might see for the future, right? But going in a line with that, right? Some of this A99 family that they have here that they're quite they look beautiful. And there's this A33N, which looks like another propeller driven unit, and another 1.5 watt unit. So they've got a strategy here to develop these types of engines that look like they're pretty cool. And then they have a whole section here that just mentions electrification, right? So these guys, they've spent some time in research in this field, which is great. Now I just wonder how much of it's going to spill into the general public's operational parts, because some of the places where a drone like this could be worthy is, crop spraying, stuff like that, or power line inspection, right?
Yep.
Basic places where stuff like this is used.
And lastly, I think for me to say about this too is one thing Mike and I mentioned multiple times about drones and whatnot and air taxis as weight. And again, if you've got a petrol powered drone, in this case, that uses a generator to generate the power it needs to fly its electric motors, it's going to get lighter as it flies. It's going to get lighter as the mission continues. So that would help its performance stay maybe at the level it was before, or increase its performance possibly as it as the flight goes on. So I don't know. My bet for this mystery drone is was something powered something like this, right? That it had some liquid combustible material on board that goes into an engine, such as like this, a power generator that would power those engines. That's my guess.
Yeah, and it looks like these guys started out in some sort of dirt bike components, and then they basically had to make the switch to some sort of components that were going to be more friendly towards salability, because their market evaporated. That's what it sounds like to me. So hey, let's see where they end up. It might be another one of those companies that I think would be great to follow or look for possible future investment, because smaller companies like this that are going to be part of the greater supply chain chain for drones in the not too distant future are probably worthy of a couple of bucks. So something actively
Possibly,
for
yeah.
people
Oh,
to
yeah.
look at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. As batteries are still coming on board, this stuff is going to be more useful at least in the near term, and maybe long term. We'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That would be cool.
Yep.
All right. So
So
something else to
with
look
that,
forward
yeah.
to.
Please like, share, subscribe. We very much appreciate the help on the channel. Maybe hit that bell icon down there too, so you'll know when we go live. If you're new to the channel, thanks so much for coming by. All the help and support you can give is very much appreciated. We cover a multitude of things: aviation, cars, obviously technology, all very interesting. So very happy to have you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, and last but not least today, we have something that's a little bit closer to home for a manufacturer in the space community, which is Lockheed Martin, as they open up a new spacecraft facility here in the Space Coast, Florida. An interesting article because Orion was originally tested quite a few years ago, and it actually was paused for a great period of time while other competitors got to enter into the marketplace to bring Americans back into space on American-built rockets. And this just came out July 15th. Lockheed Martin is going to open their new spacecraft facility Thursday to help NASA build the Orion lunar capsules near Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And this is basically just to build the last little part that sits on top. Anyhow, NASA awarded Lockheed this contract for $4.6 billion in 2019 to build 6 new capsules at their new 55,000 square feet facility located right here in good old Space Coast, USA, which is fantastic for the local area. But one of the neat things is that if you guys have been paying attention to what we've been paying attention to, we know that there's a lot of conversation going on about what was actually supposed to deliver these rockets to the moon and Mars and beyond, and who's going to be building the elements that are going to actually land these things in their new locations when they take up their development space in the not too distant future. So as Corey and I were kicking this one back, it's a convoluted conversation because I think where we were really expecting this to be riding upon was the SLS, which is going to be the old shuttle rocket launch system. And we all know that if you pay attention to the channel, they delivered, okay, their rocket system. They tested. It's actually here now in this area, ready to be erected. But the problem is they pretty much have lost their customer support. So they're looking at what's going to actually be used to take these new Orions into space. And I think just before we came on, you said that there was some other thing that you were looking at to find out. Was there another player now that we weren't really sure who was taking over this, or which one was it?
No, I was looking up some of the timeline for Artemis, which is the utilization of the SLS for Orion capsules. The first of which is Artemis 1, and that's currently set for the 4th of November to launch from the Space Coast, right? So an Orion capsule on board an SLS stack, not manned. It'll be unmanned.
Unmanned.
And so if you're not up to speed on the Artemis 1 mission, I'll put that link down there too. But basically, that's one where the SLS will take off again with an unmanned Orion capsule on board, and then that's going to shoot off to the moon, do an orbit, and come back again to just kind of test stuff out. The first supposed manned mission of Orion would be Artemis 3. So there's some other things, some time to go on before then. But I mean, Artemis. I'd say SLS. For me, I mean, it'll be always interesting to see big rockets take off and in person. I mean, certainly when the SLS takes off, Space Launch System, myself and Mike will try to be there for sure because that'll be super cool. As with Falcon Heavies or obviously the fully stacked SpaceX Starship whenever that's possible to see in person. Definitely want to be seeing that too.
Right.
So as we say with like other things, air taxis and whatnot, we like competition. Competition usually makes things improve,
right?
As far as technology goes, but nevertheless, like Mike said, we're still kind of like, okay, what exactly is SLS going to be used for? Because other players have been stepping in since SLS has kind of been on the back burner. And even if you guys remember, there's even a competition where SpaceX won over Blue Origin for the actual crew module that's going to land on the moon whenever we get that far. So I don't know. I mean, we're not sure about SLS. We know there's tons of money tied up in SLS. Many states building different components for SLS. So a lot of the political players out there would love to keep SLS alive, and they're trying for sure. And of course, Lockheed, as we see here, Lockheed's forging ahead as they probably should. As far the money's still coming in for them, so keep it going. But
Well, here's a
I don't know.
little
I mean,
video that was
we'll
on the
see.
website that I found that I'm just letting play in the background as you talk. It's talking about the Artemis crew, what the basic development
Yeah.
capabilities are. But unfortunately, this goes back to 2019, which means it doesn't include some of what we know has been the shakeup in this particular development of the rocket and the delivery system, right? So that's obviously
Yeah.
we're not really there yet as a defined part. But the rocket itself, as far as the actual container, is not really the most important. Excuse me, the rocket, the launch system itself is not so much as important as what it is that's actually going to take the astronauts into space, right? To make that
Mhm.
actual landing and have all that new experience that, hey, let's face it, we haven't been to the moon since when was the last moon landing?
Oh man,
71, 72,
Apollo 12. All right.
right? Was it somewhere around there? You would think that I would know that off the top of my head, but I don't.
72.
That,
Yeah, December 11th, 72.
ooh, 72. I
So
was
yeah,
right. What do you know? I should have played the lottery this morning.
Apollo 17 is what they're
Apollo
saying.
17.
Final moon landing. Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess going forward, let's see what they get developed out of this, because if I remember correctly, and I think the last time Orion actually went up was when they tested it off of, God, it was some older delivery system that wasn't the SLS, that they actually bent the rocket when it was actually just got to apogee apparently, or somewhere before that it actually bent the rocket, and they found that out post inspection, which, if my memory serves me correct. So something interesting to look forward to.
hmm
But hey, the best part is that, again, follow the money. Supply chain is important, and it's nice to see that some other high tech jobs are going to be coming back to the Space Coast area
Of
and
course.
change
Of course. Yeah,
again
always.
the landscape of the space community here, because Blue Origin, SpaceX, I know that Boeing's here, and now Lockheed Martin. They've all got their hands into the development of the next level of space. That now the vacuum of NASA really giving this more over to privateers. It's been pretty cool. So new players.
hmm And all this, I know, I just as you say, things have changed over the years. Of course, I have to just point out that if we still had a giant, like, space truck like the shuttle, they may have been using it recently to fix the Hubble, which is still having some issues.
See, that's a sore
Um,
spot. That's a sore spot for many, because we know that the shuttle was so versatile in its role, and it was underutilized in the fact that airframe still had many cycles left to go on it before it was retired.
mhm.
Which great point. Continue, because I know we're
Yeah, yeah, because as I'm kind of loosely keeping track of the Hubble issues, if you guys are unaware, the Hubble in orbit is having some issues with the Piers, a module that supplies power to some other components. And there is a backup. NASA engineers have been trying to work out how best to go about this, and if they wanted to risk trying to switch over to that backup, and it looks like they're going to try that. But I've seen it multiple times in many articles. If we could replace components of the Hubble prior to the James Webb Space Telescope making it up there, which we still would like to see that up there soon, sometime. We've talked about it before and how long that's been in
yeah.
development, but nevertheless, the Hubble's still up there, and NASA said all the lenses and the apertures and all the sensors, that stuff all is ready to go. They're just having issues with the some power delivery of some components. So
Yeah. We shall see what the future holds for that, right? Okay. Well, we got more just to come up here. And this one is just more like, I've been threatening this for weeks, and I finally got up off my butt and did it. So there's that. So you know what I'm gonna do, Corey? I'm gonna roll the video of the sim. So one of the things that's on this channel. So if you've been around the channel a couple of times, you might see that there's a video out there with about 1,900 views, which is of my old simulator back circa 2017. It was about the same time I got the Lumix GH5. It was my first foray into really doing some digital editing, playing around, and having some fun with cameras. Well, guess what? The sim is back, and it is back here with a small edit of just the new wheel, the old wheel, a combination of the new screens, which are the wraparound screens, the new actual what else is new on it? It's got the new monitor mounts. It's got a whole bunch of new tech that's thrown in there. Totally redesigned from the bottom up about a year and a half ago. And let's just take a look at what it looks like today for everybody out there on the channel. And I'll be putting this video up there shortly as well. And there she is. So, hey, one of the neat things about that is that right now I have 0 tunes on the cars. I just basically have gotten the thing put together the way that I enjoy it. And launching a new racing series with a couple of buddies of mine. So that's going to be other information we got coming up here for the fall, which will be kind of neat. And also looking to find participants that actually want to race in some 24-hour races on iRacing. But that's all to come in the not too distant future. But Corey, it's been a while since you've been in the sim. We need to figure out if we need to just put together a day where we just come out here and run some laps and have some fun with it, and maybe put the cameras on it and different configurations, and just maybe do a live stream from here. That'd be fun. I know we've been threatening, but we haven't done it yet. But there will be more to come up on the sim, and there's like 5 pieces of technology sitting in this room that all are worthy of time devoted to them for an actual review, including the steering wheel, the drone, new cameras.
Oh yeah,
Which,
of course.
We're inundated with trying to keep the live stream going sometimes, and that takes a little bit of work. So we have to figure out our work schedules to try to get around the created content and what we can do for the live stream too, because the live stream seems to be doing way better than we expected. We figured we'd have to do features in order to attract people to the live stream, but what's happened now is that the live stream itself is actually doing better than most of the features we put out there. So interestingly enough. And if you're a past subscriber or a new subscriber, go check out some of the stuff that you might not have seen on the channel before. It all helps us out. And if you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, by all means, subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, very much appreciated. Yeah. As we're trying to cover different things that we find interesting. That's kind of how the channel came about. If you haven't heard the story, Mike and I have been friends and doing work together, and we always would chat about these things anyway, because interested in obviously aviation, upcoming tech, obviously high tech toys, cars, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's good fun.
What?
Breath of the another Zelda game comes out tomorrow. So if you're into Zelda, don't forget about that. So
So that's coming out. I know my wife's gonna be playing it, so I'm looking for something else to do tomorrow.
Well,
I'll be playing it. You're gonna be playing it, so I'll probably have to join you in Discord while I'm hot lapping and being like, "Oh, so how is it?" And I'm just gonna be, running around iRacing. So there you go. Yeah. All right, folks, that'll do it for our Thursday. Tomorrow we got the day off, so we're gonna enjoy it. But we look to be back with you on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, hopefully next week, and maybe we'll throw in an extra show here and there. I think, is next week a launch? No, is it?
I don't know. Don't think so.
Is it next week or the following week? I think we got a Delta Heavy something or other. Oh no, Blue Origin is 4 days from now, so that's the one that's gonna go out.
Yeah. Bezos is coming
That's
up.
9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. I'll be watching that from my bed, maybe. at least drinking my morning coffee. And then 14 days from today, which is Friday the 30th, we have a 2:53 launch of Atlas V, which is going to be the Starliner orbital crew test flight. So that's going to be one that's going to attract our attention, I assume, correct?
Yes, yeah, and actually, just talking about SpaceX news too, I just saw another thing this morning. I don't have the link on it, but it was a comment to that was basically highlighting how the FAA had reached back out to SpaceX for the Boca Chica setup. You know, they got that tower, that gangway, that giant tower they're doing for SLS or not SLS, for fully stacked spaceship launches. You know, and we had mentioned previously they were going to launch from Boca Chica to test the booster, the big boosters from Boca Chica, and then orbit around the Earth and landed off of Honolulu. And the article was just highlighting that the FAA had reached back out to SpaceX and mentioned that they did not have the permits for that yet.
Yeah, here it is.
And
FAA warns.
we're just kind of saying, hey, just so you know, right, that's not approved yet. We might tell you to take that tower down, but you know, whatever. So I can only see the article, the headline, right? That the FAA tells SpaceX Elon to take his tower down. He's gonna be like, no.
Yeah, it's
and
by
we'll see where that goes.
CNBC
Of course,
has got it up there, and this is the difference between the rear view and the normal view. So yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's up there. We'll take a look at it. Well, something to discuss for Monday because I'm sure there's going to be an associated tweet with that in minutes. Okay, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely glorious. So let's figure out what's going on there as well.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys real soon. Thank you, everybody, for your support.
Yep. Take it
And
easy. See
we'll
you then.
see you later. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good one. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
And
Yes,
enjoy.
exactly.
Hopefully, it's not super hot where you are, and you can enjoy it. Go out to the beach. I don't know. Have yourself a beverage. Your
Something.
favorite type of beverage.
Take it easy. Relax.
Yep.
Hopefully the weather's nice, not always stormy as it appears down here for the moment.
Yeah, actually, looks pretty good.
Actually, today we got some sun. I was out earlier and I was like, wow.
Yep.
So nice.
It is. It's a very nice day.
So-
All right. With that said, which I don't think I've said it all day long, but now I've said it. We're out of here. Peace, everybody. Bye-bye.